Hello, happy Thursday once again. Here with our Thursday thought for the week for you to think about. If you remember last week, we looked at this greeting that's in all the letters that Paul writes in the New Testament, where he says, grace and peace to you. And we looked at grace, the word charis, and that isn't just nice things. We looked at this deep, rich meaning of this word that means the empowerment, the enabling, the presence and favour and kindness of God himself with you always, to equip you to live this life, to sustain you and empower you and clear up your messes and resolve your conflicts. And now we're going to look at the second half of that, peace. The Greek word is Irene. It's where the name Irene comes from. That word means peace. And just like charis has weight to it, so does this word for peace. Our English word doesn't quite capture it. Peace is, in our mind, it's the absence of conflict. So you have the book War and Peace, two opposites. One is where there's chaos and conflict, and one where there isn't. But Irene peace is this calmness, this rightness, this satisfaction in the middle of conflict, in the middle of pain and disease and unemployment and war. It's something that can be found in the middle of it. One writer put it like this. He said it's harmony, tranquility, wholeness, well-being, salvation of the whole person, reconciliation between people and societies, reconciliation between us and God and people together, peace at the deepest level. Paul, when he writes this word, he writes in Greek, but he thinks in Hebrew. And the Hebrew word is shalom, which I'm sure you've heard as a greeting with a bit of oomph to it, shalom, where Jewish people greet each other. But that is a deep theological word. It's a one-word summary of Genesis 1 and 2, the way it's meant to be, life as God intended it. The New Testament puts it like this peace that surpasses understanding, that doesn't connect with what we're going through, doesn't fit in this world of chaos and disorder, and yet is still there. That's what Paul says when he says grace and peace to you. As I've pointed out, every single letter he writes starts with this, grace and peace to you. And my point in these two thoughts is just to show the richness of these terms and to perhaps just encourage us to take them as Paul begins each letter, for us to begin each day centering our minds, focusing our thoughts on the grace and peace that is ours. To start every day coming to that place. I love it in John's Gospel. Someone pointed out to me again this week. In John's Gospel, when he writes about Jesus, he says the law was given through Moses. That it was given, it was something we took and we had and we just gave it, and then Moses disappeared, but he gave us the law that stayed with us. But he goes on to say grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. That grace and peace aren't things that God gives us and then says, there you go, that's what you need. They come through the person of Jesus. Grace isn't an idea. Grace isn't a thing. Grace has a name, Jesus. Peace isn't something that we can just take and have for ourselves and then walk away. Peace has a name, and it's Jesus. Jesus says this. He says, I give you peace, but I don't give as the world does. I give it through my spirit, my presence with you. When you have that, you have peace. When you have that, you have grace. We're not looking for grace and peace from God. We're looking for grace and peace that's in him, that comes through Jesus and knowing him. When we say starting our day, we're starting in a place with the one who is grace, with the one who is peace. And only as we walk close with him will we find our lives being filled with these rich, deep ideas of wholeness, of reconciliation, of empowerment, of his presence, of assurance, of a calmness. Whatever's going on and whatever we're going through, whatever difficulty we face, whatever thing we need to leave behind, we have what we need in the grace and peace that is from our Lord Jesus. So I just share that idea today because Paul starts with it, and I just wonder if we could start there, whether our days would be different, our lives would be different from the grace and peace that are in him. I'll just pray, and then we'll leave it there. Father, grace and peace have a name, Jesus. And so we come to him now. And if there is favour and empowerment, if there is peace that despite our circumstances to be had, we want to find it. Forgive us that we've treated these as gifts that you bestow but that aren't connected to you. May we come back to the giver, to the one in whom is all these things. And may we find there the source of what our hearts long for, what we're seeking for in so many other areas. The grace and peace that's only found in you. Thank you that you brought it. Thank you that you are it. We need to look no further. Where else would we go, Jesus? You alone have the words we need. And so we come to you now and ask it in your name. Amen.